Okay, so India has just rolled out a massive overhaul of its labor laws. And believe me, this is going to directly impact the number you see on your payslip. Let's dive in and break down what this huge shift really means for you. All right, let's just get right to it. The big question that's probably on your mind, is my take-home salary actually going to go down? Well, the short answer is yeah, probably. But hold on, it's not quite that simple. What's really happening here is a big trade-off. Your immediate in-hand cash is likely to dip, but that money isn't just vanishing. It's being pushed into your long-term retirement savings.
So to really get how this all works, we need to zero in on the one core change that's driving everything. It's this new 50% rule. Seriously, everything else stems from this one thing.
First things first, let's talk about your CTC, or cost to company. Think of this as the total price tag of hiring you. It's the whole shebang, your basic pay, all those allowances, even what your employer kicks in for you, all before a single rupee is deducted. Okay, now tucked inside that CTC is your basic salary. This is the fixed, core part of your pay. And you've got to pay attention to this number because it is so important. Why? Because almost all the big calculations, like your Provident Fund, your retirement savings, are based directly on this one figure. And here it is, the rule that changes everything. The new mandate says your basic salary can't just be some tiny fraction of your pay anymore. Nope. Now it has to be at least 50% of your total CTC. That's the new law. So you might be asking, why make this change? Well, it's all about closing a pretty common loophole. For years, a lot of companies would keep the basic salary part of your pay super low and then pile on a bunch of allowances. They did this to shrink the amount they had to contribute to your Provident Fund and gratuity. This new rule basically says, you can't do that anymore.
Okay, so that's the theory. But what does this new math actually do to your wallet? Let's walk through a real-world example so you can see exactly how this shift from cash in hand to long-term savings plays out.
Okay, let's imagine you're earning a CTC of 10 lakhs. Under the old rules, maybe your company set your basic pay at 35%, so 3.5 lakhs. But now, they have to make it 50%, which is 5 lakhs. Now remember, your Provident Fund contribution is 12% of that basic salary. So suddenly, your yearly PF contribution jumps from 42,000 rupees all the way up to $60,000. That extra 18,000 rupees? It's now going straight into your retirement account, not your bank account. And that's why your take-home pay goes down. And hey, don't just take my word for it. Suchita Dutta from the Indian Staffing Federation puts it perfectly. She says this whole thing is about creating better retirement security with a bigger gratuity and Provident Fund. But, and this is the key part, it comes with that possible dip in take-home pay.
So, why go through all this trouble? Why such a massive overhaul? To understand that, we kind of need to zoom out and look at the bigger picture here.
You see, the old system was, well, a mess. We had 29 different central labor laws. They were complex, they often overlapped, and honestly, they were a total nightmare for businesses to comply with and super confusing for workers. So the main goal here was just simplification. The government took all those 29 tangled laws and bundled them into 4 much clearer, modern codes. You've got one for wages, one for industrial relations, another for Social Security, and a final one for occupational safety and health. It's basically a complete reboot of India's entire rulebook for work.
And it's really important to get that this isn't just about your salary. These new reforms are doing a lot more. They're actually building a much wider safety net for employees in some pretty major ways.
What kind of safety net? Well, for starters, we're talking about a universal minimum wage for all sectors. If you work overtime, you have to be paid at twice the normal rate. There are also powerful new rules about gender equality in hiring and pay. Oh, and things like mandatory appointment letters for all jobs are now the law. And this next one is a huge deal, especially for contract workers. Before, you needed 5 years of service to be eligible for gratuity. Now, it's just 1 year. That's a massive change.
And for the very first time, these protections are reaching into the gig economy. Think about all the folks working for ride-sharing or food delivery apps. Now, those companies have to contribute a slice of their turnover, about 1 to 2%, into a Social Security fund specifically for those workers.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground. After going through all of these changes, what's the one big thing you really need to walk away with? It really all boils down to that one core trade-off we talked about at the beginning. You're getting less cash in your pocket today, in exchange for a lot more financial security tomorrow. This isn't just some small tweak to your payslip, it's a fundamental, government-led shift in how you're saving for the future.
And that really leaves us with one final thought. A question for you, actually. With this forced shift towards long-term saving, what does this trade-off mean for you personally? How are you going to adjust your budget and your financial plans to this new reality? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me for this breakdown.